Hello guys and welcome back. In this video I wanted to talk about something called recursion or a recursive system. And for example, if we take a square like this and we subdivide this into we divide it into 4 squares. We call this one step. Okay, we did one operation to this. And it took the first square, became 4. We can then run this recursion or subdivision system again, and it will go over each of these squares now and divide them into 4. Okay? And we can do it even further. We can keep doing this over and over and over. And the way it works is you have a starting system, you have a state where you start with, and then you have a loop. This loop takes in a result, divides it, runs the process on it, and then it sends it back as its input. Okay, the first loop, the first time it goes, it processes the main input. The second time it doesn't take the input anymore. It takes the result that we have here, sends it back, and it keeps doing it. And then the second time it's gonna process the result, send it back. So if we have, for example, a square like this, and then on each point we copy a circle, okay, or sorry, we copy a square. Our input is the first square, and we have a second input to specify the geometry that we want to copy. And then we this runs through the loop, and the result gets sent back to the system. And then the second time we're going to take each point of those squares and process them, including the first one as well. So everything gets processed again, and it keeps doing that over and over and over. Recursive system. This is very common in trees, for example, or something called L system, but we're not going to be using L system at this point. We're going to create something very, very similar. As you can see, this is it starts with one time, and then it keeps repeating that result over and over and takes the input back in. So this is what we're going to be doing. And the idea that I want to do in this case is I want to create a system for generating those motifs, because if we take a look at them, it's generally a square and then a circle and then maybe something else like this, and then a square and then a circle, and it's just shapes that we can specify, we can predefine. You know, it could be a curve like this. And the way I'm thinking about doing this is using something recursive. So for example, if we have all these shapes, we predefine them. Let's say an arc like this, an arc like this, something like this, something like this. All these shapes, we have an angle, maybe this way, we have something like this, we have this, and we have multiple shapes available at our disposal. And we connect all of them into a switch node. And what the switch node allows us to do is we can switch, it basically gives us an integer that decides which one to choose. Okay, let's say we take this first guy here. We start off with this, we draw it here. So this is the arc. And then we tell our system, okay, this is my starting point, I want to start the loop. So it takes that, and then it asks us, how do you want to process this? Well, we're going to do something very intelligent to create this, this interesting motif. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the input and isolate the last point. And then once we isolate that, so we have point, we take in one of these inputs. And for example, we select this, we're going to copy that second input into that point. Once we have that, we're going to merge it with the original result. So it's going to give us this and then this. The next time we're going to take this as the input. This is our result. And we're going to isolate the last point. So it will be a point like that. And then we're going to take a second input from here. It could be the same. It could be another one random. Let's say it's this angle, for example. So we're going to copy it into that point. And then it's going to add everything together. So this and then this square. And we can keep doing this over and over and over and have an infinite amount of inputs that we prepare. We don't have to rely on the system doing this. We can just predefine them, what the shapes are, by analyzing, for example, the Gothic architecture or anything we want, and then run the system, and it should just work. So let's take a look how we can implement that. Thanks for watching, and see you in a bit.